What is up, DD Squad? It's your boy Drip back with another video. In today's video, we're going to talk about that ban list. um, One thing I will say ahead of time is this video is not going to be like really a kind of sort of a win-loss situation between decks. It's going to be my thought process on the list. What do I think of it? What do I think is coming in the where I think the format is going to shift? Remind you when I say that it's all going to be about what decks we have now, not future decks like Abyss and all of those. I'm not going to lie, I don't know much about them yet. I'm going to do my research on that and we'll go from there. But this is mainly from like day one, what's hit, what happens to the decks now, what deck like really won the ban list, kind of sort of like what I mean by that is like what deck is the best deck amongst the decks that we have now and moving forward, what staples slash will be the norm as of right now until we get these new decks. Everything will shift when the new decks come, obviously. Things could even shift in a different direction to where I'm completely wrong. This is what we do. Is we just guess and try to guess where it's going to go. um, but to start, like I said, to start out, we're going to be going over the list itself. So if you don't know the list, then you'll find out the list here. Let me see here. Here we go. Pulling up the list now. Sorry, which I should have the list of each one over here, whenever we get there. But another thing, too, if you haven't already hit the like button, hit that like button right now. Hit the subscribe button if you're new around here and you're just saw this video while scrolling on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. I try to post at least once or twice a week if I can. Join the Discord fam if you want to be closer to the DD fam. Check the description for my merch, my Patreon if you need help building decks, need help coaching. I have that down there as well, or you just want exclusive content that I post, or deck profiles or any kind of stuff like that. That's down there as well. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the forbidden section. Another thing too is my problems with this list is not really what came off the list. It's a couple of the cards that went on the list, if that makes sense, because some of it doesn't make sense and some of it may seem biased, and other ones I'm even going to tell you is my unbiased opinion because I play the certain decks and I don't understand why certain cards got hit. But like I said, I'll probably post a picture of the thing up there. But on the forbidden section, we got Fairy Tale Snow, Ronan Totem, Crystron Hockey Fibrax, Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Ruler, Magical Dragon, yada yada, and Red Reboot. Okay. In theory, all those cards are fairly broken, and them getting banned is kind of justifiable. But, and that's a big but, I'm talking about big cheeks. Big cheeks, but. Why Red Reboot, bro? Why Red Reboot? Like Snow, I get it. Ronan Totem, I would have rather have been swap. I would have rather it been swap than Ronan Totem. But like I said before, big but. It's fine. I'll take it. They can. I've already been testing with Sprite and everything like that. Post ban list, they can still. You can still make Toad fairly easy. You just are more susceptible to hand traps, which most Sprite players probably already know that as well. But then we get down to Crystron Hockey Fibrax. Crystron, I guess people just was kind of calling for its head anyways. I still don't think he wasn't as problematic. I think, yes, he fueled the Scythe Lock. I get that. But at the end of the day, what's the problem? Scythe Lock. Everybody's talking about how they need to ban the problem and not the like fuels the problem, whatever I can't think of the word right now, but the fuels the issue. So I don't understand why Crystron got hit. I mean, like I said, I know it's generic as hell, but I don't know. I think he could have. I think he was slowly just becoming a generic staple for tuner decks, basically. And this is just this right here. This what I'm about to say is like my biased opinion, but That's just me. I feel like, and I know this is like far-fetched because it's just one card, but I think Crystron mainly got hit outside of Scythelock. I think he got hit for Konami in order for Konami to bring back Steam of the Cloak to help sell the new set with all of the Blackwing support. That's just me. I mean, that wouldn't be something out of Konami's like territorial things that they would do just to sell stuff. I mean, but you can't really blame them. They're a business at the end of the day. So, but that's just me. Obviously, we've had Hulk issues with the Dagda and TG Wonder Magician and all that stuff. I get that, but I really do think the main reason he got hit was to bring back Steam of the Cloak. Spoiler alert: Steam of the Cloak's back if you don't already know, which I'm sure most of y'all know the list anyways. Um, but that's just me. That's just my opinion. Who knows? What do I know? Not much. Let's move on to Chaotic Ruler. Chaotic Ruler is one of those cards where I feel like he's going to get hit, which he did obviously got hit. He's going to get hit, and then a few formats away, he's going to come back. Because yes, he's a very good card, but he's not stupidly overly broken. He's not. You mill 5 and you add a lighter dark. If things keep moving the way Konami has, like where decks keep getting filtered out faster, I don't know if it's just me. You guys let me know in the comment section down below if you guys feel that way too. But I feel like this past year and a half, decks have been getting filtered out like fast. Like they've been getting filtered out of the format like stupid quick. So moral of the story is one, because punks are basically gone now. Yes, there's more. There's still more there. Which I've talked to the Discord fam about this. I still think punk is a very valuable like option to play, and there's more that's to be uncovered with that deck that you can do. But the punk that we know, and some have loved, and some have grown to hate, is basically gone. So same with like Branded. Brandon went from a meta deck. I play Branded still to this day. But it went from a meta deck to like a rogue deck, within like 3 to 4 months. So like decks are getting filtered out. So what I'm trying to say is once these milling decks get filtered out with like Punk and Tearlaments, because I play Tearlaments too. Once those decks slowly get filtered out of the meta, that card will come back. Kind of like the situation with Nadir Servant. Plot, if you don't already know, Nadir Servant's back to 3. I think Nadir should never have gotten put to 2 in the first place. Nadir was one of those cards that was splashable, which is the same sense with Chaotic Ruler. I feel like once like for an example, people were splashing Nadir in basically anything, right? Right. So once that stopped, Nadir came back to 3. And the same thing I feel with Chaotic Ruler. Once people stop, once the milling decks go away, people can't really splash into anything, or they have other cards that's been hit that they now can't really rely on. The deck's not as potent as it was before. Chaotic Ruler will come back. Will I be right? Who knows? I don't know. No one really knows what goes through Konami's mind, but that's just my outlook on Chaotic Ruler and what I think is fair about the card, because the card is not overly broken. Now to the big topic that really triggers me, and that is Red Reboot. There is absolutely no reason this card should have got hit. Just none. And that's my biased and unbiased opinion, because I can't freaking stand back row decks. They're fucking garbage. But that's my biased outlook on it. My unbiased outlook on it is, majority of the time, unless you just open straight cracked, you are not it's hard to resolve Red Reboot from your hand, and at least from my experience, and push for game. I have lost more games about activating that card out of hand, unless you're playing against a pure, just straight up back row deck, which they need build up to kill you anyways. But against other decks that just run some generic trap, like mid range decks that run traps, but a little bit of combo too, I can't really think of a deck off the top of my head right now, but like a mid-range deck that runs traps, maybe like Trap Tricks or something like that, even though they kind of need a build-up before they can kill you. Or Branded Eldritch for an example, or something like that. If you're playing against a deck like that, like a mid-range-esque deck that can still use traps, if you don't have the gas to push for a game, you're going to lose that game after resolving Reboot. So on top of that, and this is coming from a tier limit player, remind you, in a format where people are getting deck devied, eradicated, and stuff like that, you're going to go and ban the number one card that can out that card. The Yu-Gi-Oh meme is draw the out 5-head. Yeah, but now people can't even draw the out. So degenerate people like me, yes, I'm calling myself degenerate people like me can lock people out of the game for 2 to 3 turns by resolving a deck like if you resolve a deck devy against most decks, you just win. And then same with like most decks with Eradicator. So like, why? There was no reason for that card to get hit. I hope and pray that they bring that card back the next list and realize what the hell they did wrong. Will they? I don't know. Like I said, who knows? No one knows. But there is no reason, absolutely zero reason, Reboot should have been on this list. None. There's no reason. None at all. And that hit lit a fire under my rear end like no other. That when I saw that, I was heated. I was triggered. Because like that card is so good. And and it was an unnecessary hit, and it's a necessary card to have in the format. You can't argue, oh well, they can't activate traps for the rest of the turn. That it shuts people out of the game to where they can't play the game. I mean, yeah, I get that, but in the same sense, at what cost? What cost? Like, what cost? Your 4,000 life points? I understand in some situations, 4,000 life points doesn't matter because life points doesn't matter in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! I get that. But majority of the time, they won't have the gas to kill you. And most decks are not pure just back row decks. They have something else in them that they can help them push through the Reboot. There's no like set 5 pass really decks anymore unless you're garbage playing Mystic Mind Burn. But even then, they don't even run that many traps except for Floodgates. So Red Reboot doesn't really bother them. Eldritch isn't really a pure deck anymore. You either play Branded Eldritch or you play Zombie Eldritch or you play some other Punk Eldritch. So there's other engines in these decks that's just pushing them forward that they can push through the Reboot. Yeah, they lose one part of their deck, but they still have the other part. So Reboot is not like game-ending card is what I'm trying to say. So you can't make that excuse. And it's a one-of, so you had to draw the out anyways. Yes, it makes it to where one thing that I will say off topic, pause off to the side. It's one of those things where when cards are at one-of, it's almost as if people get mad at other duelists for using them on them, which I understand. I'm at fault of this too. I am too. I'm not just talking like just about other people and not about me. I'm guilty of it too. They call it getting sacked. When you get sacked, which kind of is sacky, when you draw the one-of and you get hit by it. But if that card was at 2 or 3, it wouldn't be getting sacked. It's the fact that it was at one-of. So people have the mentality that the card is broken, more broken than it really is, if you draw it and use it when it's at 1 than it were to be if it was at 2 or 3. In some situations, some duelists, not all duelists, but some duelists. But that's a little side topic for another day. Back to the Red Reboot thing. I really don't think it should have gotten hit, and now everybody gets it. Like Tierlament is by far the best deck right now. Definitely after this ban list. Sprite can still play, but now people with Sprite being nerfed or like nerfed a little bit, people can actually play hand traps now. So, which fun fact, I really do believe hand traps are going to find their way more in this format than they were in the previous format. Because unlike Sprite, Tierlament actually dies to hand traps. Imperm, a properly timed Imperm can kill that deck. Properly timed. Same with kind of an Ash too. So, Impermanent Ash, Nib, all those cards completely can like crucify freaking tailing it. So, and now that Ronin is gone, Sprite is more susceptible to hand traps too. So, which I still think board breakers are going to be key too, but I think it's going to be more of a mixture coming up in this format. But no, everybody's just going to get freaking eradicated and deck debied until the until next freaking ban list. It's going to happen. And like I said, that's coming from a degenerate player that's going to be doing it to people too, because everyone else is going to be like, well, everyone else is doing it, why not? So I don't know. Only time will tell. But that's my rant about Reboot. Moving on to the limited section. The limited section is Blackwing, Steam of the Cloak, Cyberjar, O-Line, Mechaphanobase O-Line, Substitute, Spellbook Judgment, and a Pointer of the Red Lotus. All right, Blackwing, like I said, I already gave you my thoughts on that. I really think that that's the reason why Hout got hit, is so they can bring this card back to try to sell more Blackwing support. That's my whole thought process on it, and I'm sticking to it. Can't convince me otherwise. Cyberjar, no one cares. No one's going to play that in 2022. O-Line, sure. Substitute, I guess, but no Sprite player is going to run it because it's a 1 and it doesn't produce enough and it just baits in the ash. No one cares. Spellbook of Judgment. I mean, I guess there's some cheeky ways that probably my teammate Tanner can probably use this card because he's a Spellbook simp. Like Spellbook Dogmatica and stuff like that. A Pointer of the Red Lotus made no sense to me. I'm not going to go on a big rant on this one like I did with Red Reboot. But I want to try not to, at least. Sometimes I say I'm not going to, and I do anyways. A Pointer should not have gotten put to 1. I mean, sure. I mean, yeah, you get Insight with cost of 2,000 life points, and you rip a card out or whatever. But you can do exactly the same thing with TTTs, Triple Talents. Yeah, you can't really make the argument where they have to activate a monster effect first in order you to do so. But I don't know. I still think it basically is kind of pseudo the same thing. But yes, you don't have to wait for that 1 clause in order to do that. But no one was really running anyways. Yeah, a lot of people ran it there for a hot minute, myself included. But I don't understand why it got hit. I don't think it was necessary. It was one of those unnecessary hits. But it's just my opinion. People could feel differently about it. That's fine. And this whole video is not to like shit on Konami for like their ban list. I'm not doing that at all. I'm mainly just talking about certain situations in my thought process. I think the ban list is very solid. I think a lot of it is what most of us knew. The only thing that I wish that Konami would have done was put Mystic Mine on there, and it would have been a very solid list. It really would have been. It wouldn't, and nothing would have really came out of nowhere besides the Reboot thing. But because like basically, you take this list and add Mystic Mine on there, everybody's for the most part happy. Everybody's happy. There's no like, obviously there's gonna be some people that's not, but moral of the story is I'm not trying to down Konami on this list. I'm not trying to do that at all. They did a pretty solid job on it. I'm just mainly expressing my thoughts and my concerns on certain cards and why I think they should not have gotten hit, basically. Moving on to the unlimited section, you got Draco Fighter, Cyber Angel Benton, Shooting Riser, Fusion Destiny, Nadir Servant, let's go, Trickstar Light Stage, and Wall of Revealing Light. Dynamite, I'm not even gonna lie to you. My boy plays True Draco, and I did not know this card was not at 3. I don't know. I always thought this card was at 3. Ben 10 is a spicy bring back to 3. Be on the lookout. Freaking whatchamacallit. Jesus Christ, I had a brain fart. The Ritual deck, it's going to come back. Even though I don't think it's going to be as potent as it was before because they don't have Eva any longer. So I Drytron, thank you, Jesus Christ. If whoever said that, I heard you from the past. I heard you, Drytron. Yeah, but I think Drytron is going to be a spicy rogue deck this format. They don't have Eva any longer, so I don't really think a third Ben 10 will do much besides them ending on like Vanity's Ruler plus whatever else they usually end on. I think if anything, it just gives them more of a grind game and a more consistency. But I don't think it's going to make them any more like dangerous than they already are. Shooting Riser, sure, I guess. Uh, Fusion Destiny, which I'm happy for my boy and my teammate Jeremy. He's a hero player. I'm glad he finally got his third Fusion Destiny back. I called him as soon as the ban list dropped, and he said, "Good, I can go get my third ulting now." um, but yeah, Fusion Destiny. A lot of people are like, "Oh, who cares if Fusion Destiny's at 3? We don't have Anaconda any longer, so DPE is not going to be anywhere." Yeah, it will. I've already play test with it. DPE is going to probably make a comeback, and which is very necessary against some decks. I really feel so. Yeah, DPE going to be coming back. Nadir Servant's the next card we're going to talk about. Even though we're just going to kind of walk right over it, even though I'm a Dogmatica simp. Here, hold on a second. Dogmatica simp. If you didn't already know, you know me. I got my play set of her. Let me put her back up there. Actually, that one, fun fact, I've never even physically touched outside of the obviously the outside case. I have my play set. I have one for each of the decks I run her in, and I don't run the third. I don't run the third one unless I absolutely need it. Will I ever take her out of that? And even then, I don't know if I will or not. But Nadir Servant should never went to 2 in the first place. No reason in it, but I guess people wanted to slap us Dogmatica players on the wrist. So, but yeah, Nadir Servant, and then what we got now? Trickstar Light Stage, and the Wall of Revealing Light. Okay, Trickstar Light Stage is very interesting. I am not gonna lie, I hate Trickstar, and I'm sorry if I offend you on that. If you're a Trickstar player, I love you. I can't stand that deck. That deck is toxic. When it hand loops you and drolls you and then hand loops you and you have no hand and you can't play it. It's very annoying. Very, very annoying. But it'll be interesting to see if the deck can still play with modern Yu-Gi-Oh! If it's not power crept or too slow or whatever. Only time will tell if it'll be an optimal road deck or whatever it will do. Or if it will just become a splashable engine. Who knows? I don't know. Only, like I said, only time will tell. Um, and then Wall of Revealing Light is another one of those kind of like Dynamite. I honestly thought that card was already at 3. I didn't even know it was on the list at all. But that sums it up for the bans, unlimited, and limited lists. My thoughts on the list. My biased opinion is I'm really saddened and that Colossus still did not come back. I miss him so much, dude. Like I'm not gonna lie to you, since he's not unbanned and he's still banned, I'm gonna let y'all in on a little secret. I had a list waiting for the ban list to come back. If Colossus came back, I had the deck done and everything. It was a Sprite Thunder Dragon list that was very stupid and very consistent, and the way the two decks fed off of each other was absolutely insane. I didn't play Sprite. I mean, I've played Sprite, so I know how to play against them. Like I know how to play the deck, but I don't main the deck. But when they were mixed with Thunder Dragon, I would have mained that deck if Colossus came back. Because the two feed off of each other so well. Like the Sprite gave through testing, Sprite gave Thunder Dragon the top heaviness that it needed in order to compete in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, like the negates and the extension and stuff like that. As where the Thunder Dragon um, gave the Sprite the ability to clear boards, control the state of the game, and the grind ability, and not to mention sprites being Thunder, you just traded him off for Colossus, and it's GG's. On top of that, the old combo where you bring out you use the Ready Fusion and bring out your Thunder Vanilla, and you can banish a random sprite from hand and your Vanilla to still make Titan. So they fed off of each other, and it was amazing. I had a very good list that was absolutely disgusting, but sadly, I can't show it because Colossus is not legal. But that's off to the side. That's I'm sorry, I got a little sidetracked on that. But yeah, I'm saddened Colossus did not come back. I'm sad Harpor did not come back. If you know and you've seen my Tier Element Orcus list, Harpor, we don't need Harpor and Tier Element Orcus. It just would have been nice to have the additional +1 and the gorgeous mill to mill from that. So, but yeah. And then I'm also sad we didn't get Dark Matter back, but I think we'll get Dark Matter back when we get the new Galaxy Out support. So I think myself and the rest of the Galaxy gang will be getting I think we'll get Dark Matter back when the new support comes out. Sadly, I've play tested with Dark Matter and without, and Dark Matter doesn't really bring anything else to the table. Like he's kind of power crept. I think a lot of people, if he does come back, will run him just to run him from the nostalgia and basically bring Kite's deck closer to like reality or whatever, a modern Yu-Gi-Oh. But other than that, he doesn't really it doesn't really provide anything else. Yeah, you can do the cheeky extra deck lock and stuff like that, but there's not really much else to bring to the table. Uh, which those three, I talk about those three big ones every time we talk about a ban list. Whenever I talk to you guys about anything like that, we always talk about those three. But I do think hand traps are going to be more valuable, like in the upcoming format. Ash will be kind of mid range, but I still mid range to necessary stuff like Judgment, Public Judgment, and Tier and Sprite and stuff like that. So Ash and Imperm, I think, will be big. Ash, Imperm, Nib could potentially be the big dogs of the format. Ogre, don't be playing Ogre in 2022 when Tier Elements is around. Please, please don't. Don't main deck it at least. If you want to keep it in your side deck for potential adventure matchups, I guess, but there's still better options for facing adventure decks. Because if you like, I couldn't tell you how many times I was playing against people with Tier and they ogre me, and I'm like, sweet, thanks. I was trying to get him in graveyard anyways, but you just help me, Pog. But yeah, don't do that. Valor is nah. It's going to depend on how like TTT fills out in the format. TTTs everywhere because usually where there's hand traps, there's TTT. So you got to be careful about that. Yes, I know you can say the same thing about Ash, but I try to play myself personally. I try to play around that, so I want to tell you guys to try to play around that too. That's why Imperm's there, so it doesn't do that, and it turns off floodgates. Main deck, no matter what the case is, if you're deck building this format, main deck some sort of out to Mystic Mine. I don't give a crap what it is. Main deck some out. If you're playing Adventure, you got Draco back. Okay. That's somewhat mained of an out. I would still probably put a Duster in there too. If you're playing Tier, do not take out Galaxy Cyclone. Main deck Galaxy Cyclone. If you're playing anything else, just put Duster in there. Put Duster in there. Or Cosmic, whatever you want. If you're worried about them having some sort of protection from destruction, just play Cosmic or something. Play some sort of out. I'm telling you guys. That card, it was seeing a lot of play before the ban list. It's going to see even more play now because people know that they have another 3 to 4 months or longer to play the daggone card, and it just steals games. It just steals them. You don't even need to rely on your engine because if your opponent doesn't have the out, they just lose. And so I'm telling you, please play some sort of out because there is some degenerate players out there that will try to deck you out instead of playing their deck, even though they can play the game and play their deck and still interact with you, and then mine would go away. They would try to deck you out. So I'm telling you, I'm begging you, please do not let yourself get in that situation, and main deck the out. Just main deck the out. Any kind of out. Obviously, have side deck with more out, but main deck some sort of out so you have it. What else do I want to talk to you guys about with this list? Which that leads me to another thing. Mist of Mind. Mist of Mind is going to be everywhere. Within an hour, if that, of it being not on the list, every single copy was beginning to be bought off the market. I haven't checked it, and at this time it is 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, September 28th. I haven't checked the market, which is weird because normally I do it every morning. Shout outs to Robbie. I watch his market watches, because the man's like a magician when it comes to the market. Shout outs to you, bro. But no, I haven't checked the market this morning. But no, it's everywhere, and you duelists know. And I'm sure you probably already know without me telling you. It's going to be everywhere, so you got to be ready for it. Even decks you wouldn't even expect it to be in, they will be there, and just be ready for it. Just be ready. That's all I got to tell you. Other than that, Tier I think is going to be the best deck, obviously, with Sprite taking a kind of not really a back seat, but a low blow to the gut, basically. Because don't get me wrong, that deck is still very playable and can still basically end on the same board as it did before, just less consistent. But with him taking a back seat and losing a consistency hit, I really do think a lot of people is going to switch to Tier because it's more of a better option with more consistency, even though it's RNG based. But with that being said, I think these rogue decks and last 2 formats ago, if you want to call it, decks will be able to make a comeback. And I'm talking about Sword Soul, Despia, and Flunder. Those decks, I think, have a good has a good chance to make a serious splash in this upcoming format, because those decks didn't really have a good matchup against Sprite, but they have an average to pretty solid matchup against Tier. Sword Soul can potentially struggle if Tier opens Godly and stuff like that, but Sword Soul can still deal with Tier. But when I'm more of the story, and same with Flunder. Flunder never really dropped out. It just lost popularity in play. But all of those 3 of those decks, plus any other rogue deck, Invoke Shadal. We got 3 Nadir now, bro. Let's go. Invoke Shadal can make a comeback. Invoke Branded. Invoke Branded Shadal. Any of those decks. Mech Knights. Stuff like that. I think rogue decks have a big potential this format. I really do. I was just mainly talking about the ones from last format, but other rogue decks, Virtual World, dog. My deck Virtual World, depending on how DPE pans out, Virtual World can go crazy this format. I really do think so. But no, this could potentially be the rogue format, outside of 65-70% of the damn format being tier limits, because it's obviously going to be the most represented deck. Definitely when they get their indirect new support in the Shizu cards or whatever they're called. So yeah. But that's if you want to potentially go back to those decks and want to have a good matchup against the format and catch people off guard, yeah, go ahead. Another staple card I think is going to be coming back this format, outside of the fact that I just told you those rogue decks could potentially come back, but with tier limit, I think you'll see a good side deck option will be going back to D-Barrier, because if you D-Barrier, it's going to be kind of hard for them to link climb into getting to Griffin and all that to be able to eradicate you if you're playing against tier limits. So I really do think we'll see a big spike in popularity when it comes to D-Barrier as a card and as a whole. Which, guess what? You can't stop it now because you don't have the reboot. Yeah. Oh my god, I'm so triggered about Reboot. I'm sorry, but no. That I think the D-Barrier is going to play a big role in this format. But outside of like tier limit being like tier 0 in popularity, I think outside of that aside, this format is going to be has the potential to be pretty solid and well rounded outside of that deck being taking up most of the format. So like basically it'll be that deck plus any other pile of rogue decks here at like regionals or something, and it'll be like tier limit plus whatever else basically. I think it has the option to do. I mean, you'll see a lot of that, is what I'm saying. Um, but that's all I can really think about. Talk about wise. I know this is a long video, so you know me. I'm not the first one to put them out, and sometimes, depending on what it is, it's not the best. But I just I want to let it sit and marinate before I talk about the lists, because it's a lot of emotions going around. There's a lot of people being mad, sad, and I myself personally, I like to let it sit up here, and then I think about it and I let it sink and sit in, and potentially think about why Konami did what they did, and then make a video on it, and then foresee what I think potentially the format could shift towards. A format is like the weather; it could change every day. No one knows. So, but that's my outlook on it and my thought process. But with that being said, guys, please hit the like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell notification so you never miss an upload. And it's your boy, Brennan AK Drip. Sign out till next time. Peace.